Welcome to another episode of Something Came from Baltimore, and tonight on the phone is a young Puerto Rican jazz guitarist, is Richard Pena, who was just nominated for an Independent Music Award for his new album Synergy for the Best Instrumental Jazz Recording. Synergy is dense and it's complicated, it's filled with layers, and it's a really great album. If I didn't say it, this guy is only 23 years old. Let's listen to a song that is not on the album Synergy, but was also nominated for an International Music Award for the Best Jazz Instrumental. The song is called Passageways, and it's on the album Hey Don Ray. Okay, Richard Pena, welcome to Something Came from Baltimore.
Pleasure to be here, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Okay, how are you doing with this corona pandemic at this point?
Well, like most musicians, we're going through a rough patch right now. Most of us, me included, live through live music. So not being able to perform or do anything has made us go to other sources for monetizing our music. That goes for just going online and doing everything online now. I've been on it for a while now, but I just recently started to create content for YouTube lessons and everything, and just really looking for new ways to reinvent myself. It's hard.
What is the jazz scene like in Puerto Rico?
It's definitely not New York. Let me tell you right away. Puerto Rico is a little bit different. We have roots in obviously Latin music, so most of the jazz here you'll be listening to has to do with like salsa type jazz, Latin jazz. But there is a very, I would say, diverse scene. I've heard a lot of bands play more fusion, modern jazz, kind of. I've seen some gypsy jazz going around here. There's just about everything. It's not as huge, but there's stuff going on.
It feels effortless what you're trying to do online. Your production value is really strong. Your content is really strong, very professional looking. Is that you, or do you have your people?
It is completely me. Ever since I was a kid, I've always loved editing videos. And if you go way back into a YouTube channel I used to have called Urban Spirits, PR, I would edit, I don't know, like cloning myself doing stupid stuff. And it used to be really fun for me. So when I became a musician, it's always about, a DIY, do it yourself. So I basically, throughout the time, I've learned to obviously compose, produce, and play guitar and everything that's music related, but I've also learned a lot about video editing, photography, graphic design. The graphic design for my last album, Synergy, which is awarded, by the way, it was a nominee this year for the 18th Annual Independent Music Awards. I made the graphic design for that. And the music video, I directed the editing, the coloring, so I've basically had to cover all the bases. Mostly because budget sometimes won't allow you to be able to pay $5,000, $10,000 to all these people that are sometimes needed for that. But as an independent musician, you'll find that all these tools really, really come in handy to, first of all, save money, and second of all, be able to produce constantly like I do on social media.
You do have a little Pat Metheny vibe in there, and even like a Wes Montgomery. And the reason I say that is that it's the sound of your guitar. I'm a music fan, and that's how this show works. I talk to musicians, so I can speak out of fandom more than technology. But I did see your list of your gear that you have. But on this album, Synergy, it seems that you are basically kind of using the same guitar throughout the whole album. Is that?
Yeah. So for that album, and I think for the first album too, I've been using a Heritage M155 from 2013. That is the guitar I use, and it was actually a gift from a fan and here in Puerto Rico. So there's this one guy he's been listening to me for about a year, and one day I think he was drunk. He told me, "Oh, you know what? Get the guitar, whatever guitar you want. I'm gonna buy it for you." And obviously, you don't believe in any drunk guy at 12 or 11, that late in the night. So he calls me the next morning and asked me if I thought about it. And I'm like, well, I didn't actually think about it. So I asked my guitar teacher, Fernando Martina, at the Conservatory of Music of Puerto Rico, how much he was willing to give me for like how much was he willing to give me the guitar for? Because ever since I started taking classes with him in the conservatory, I've always been in love with this one guitar he had, which was the Heritage. And he told me the price. I told the guy, and 2 days later, he hands me a check saying, "Here, I want you to keep playing music. Go buy that guitar." So, curiously enough, the Heritage guitar was it was a heritage gift from my teacher, and guitar means a lot to me. Um, but getting to your question about my influences, yes, definitely Pat Metheny and Wes Montgomery. Those are actually the two guitarists that I most admire, and the two guitarists that I first listened to when I got like fell in love with jazz.
Yeah, it's weird that, I really was a little embarrassed to write some stuff down because I'm listening to this album and I'm like, okay, Wes Montgomery and Pat Metheny. And I said, I thought that was too obvious, maybe. Like, and then I was like, oh, I feel good. It was good. So,
No, that was perfect, man. Because literally, I'm gonna tell you, those are the first two albums that I actually listened to, like fully. It was Boss Guitar,
mhm.
but actually, it was Incredible Jazz Guitar, Wes Montgomery.
Yep, I know.
And then it was The Way Up by Pat Metheny.
Great album.
So those were literally the two albums that made me say like, okay, I want to be a jazz musician.
Yeah, it's great.
So you hit that right on the dot.
Yeah, that's crazy. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where is your game plan?
Here's the thing. I feel like playing music as an artist is really important, but it's as equally as important to me to nurture the jazz community. So a couple of the big projects that I see myself running in 5 years is the following. I'm starting up the Jazz in Puerto Rico blog spot. There's basically a community where everything that happens in the island is going to be like we're talking about calendarizing events, creating festivals, creating venues, producing new artists, young artists. That's basically where one of my main focuses is right now. And in 5 years, I see that as one of the main jazz companies in Puerto Rico. So when you hear about the Puerto Rico Jazz Festival, that I'm probably going to be producing that. And that's for the production side. It's also newsletter, blog, YouTube, podcast, and all that sorts of stuff. So as for the artist career, I'm actually currently a performing, touring, and recording artist. So I try to do an album per year. So hopefully by then I'll have 4 more or 5 more albums. Maybe through the aggressive line, like you said, maybe with artists like such as Chris Potter or Miguel Senon. I don't know where music will take me, but I know it will be somewhere fun.
The album Synergy has 10 songs, and each song tells a story. It's a dedication to someone that influenced you.
Yes, that is correct.
The single that you are kind of, or it's out there right now, I may mispronounce this wrong, but it's Montserrat.
Mon Dessert. Yes,
Mon
that's
Dessert.
right. You actually said it right.
Okay. And it's a tribute to Fernando Rodriguez Mondesert.
Yeah.
He's from Dominican Republic, and he is a member of the Jazz Association and a journalist for All About Jazz, and he's been an influence to you. What's that story?
So Fernando actually was one of the first international people to believe in my career and my work. 2 years ago, 3 years ago in 2017, through some connection, I don't remember well, we met in a cigar bar in Santo Domingo. And we ended up basically just talking about jazz history for about 2 hours, straight up. Just everything through Pat Metheny, Eric Dolphy, Buddy Bolden, and all that, right? And we instantly clicked. He offered me to help me with my first international tour, playing at the Santo Domingo Jazz Festival at Casa de Teatro and a couple of other important festivals over there. Just out of that 2 hour talk. So you can tell that this man really believes in young jazz artists. So, taking his opportunity, and a couple of months later, I went over there and played the festivals. It was so nice to me. He basically produced everything without receiving a dime. So he booked the whole tour. He got all the places to stay. He got us food, travel. He got us all the instruments. Basically, just because he believed in me, and that was so uplifting for me to see, someone who you don't know believe in you in such a way, just because they're a fan of the music and the work that one does. So that really stuck with me, and I want to dedicate the song to him. He is a very complex man, so the song has some complex stuff.
Wow, that's a story I wasn't expecting to hear. That is an
Yeah.
amazing story. Yeah. Yeah, he deserves a song for that.
He deserves a whole album. Sometimes I say to people.
Yeah, let's take a listen to that song. Another song, I love the fact that you have stories for all of these. So when I bring up the title, I get a great story. I really am interested in page 38. Can you tell me a little more story about that one?
That was actually pretty interesting too. So page 38 is it's kind of a joke, inside joke I have with my first jazz mentor. You see, I was classically trained and the Escuela Libre de Música, that's a high school of music in San Juan. And when I was there, I kind of liked music, but I didn't really want it to be like a future passion until this one professor came out. Uh, he was a new to the school. He was called David Rivera, and he basically just teach theory, but he sometimes would take certain students and give them more. And one day in one of his classes, he starts playing some jazz stuff, and I'm like, wow, that sounds really interesting. To make the long story short, he basically gets me into jazz and teaches me the first steps. And there was a lesson in this class we would do every single day, kind of like reading the Bible. You know, it was actually page 38 from the drummer book called I think it's Syncopation for the Modern Drummer, and we would religiously read that lesson every day. And there was always a competition to see who could read it the fastest. Once I graduated, you know, we did a lot of things over there. He took me to the Berkeley High School Jazz Festival. He basically made me into the jazz guitarist I am today. And I'm really grateful for him. So once I graduated high school, I said one day I'm going to come back here to this like classroom and I'm going to give you a composition out of page 38. He's like, "Oh, I'll be waiting for it. You better hope I don't die before then." Really cynical man. And I it was actually in my third year. I think it was in the conservatory. Yeah, and I was in my third year, and I decided to sit down and write the tune. So when you look at it theoretically, it's broken up into three parts. The first two systems are based on just like the bass, and the drums has the rhythmic melody. And then the next four systems, the guitar has the rhythmic melody, and at the end, everybody does it. So when I finally showed him the piece, he just started laughing and crying. I was like, I can't believe you did this. Oh my God. And yeah, so that's the story behind page 38. It's dedicated to my first jazz mentor officially.
Florida. Is that are we talking about the state or are we talking about a person? What's the story?
We're talking about Florida. That's actually my mom's name.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, well,
yeah, so
go ahead, talk about that song.
Yeah, definitely. You know, how can you not dedicate a song to the woman who raised you?
Yeah, why not?
It's if you look at it, it's the only ballad. So it's probably the second most intimate song in the album because it's literally to my mom. And I don't think it needs much explanation. You know, your mom is everything when you're growing up.
She sticks around for the rest of your life too, FYI.
Yeah. So, you know, I really wanted to dedicate her a song because in the first album, I dedicated it to my dad, which is Don Ray or Patricio Ray Pena. And this song, you know, it felt really special because Mom has actually been through most of the hard times in my life. So that's why I decided to do it a little bit ballad and just a little bit more intimate.
Let's take a listen to that song. Matina?
Yeah, Matina is Fernando Matina. He's my guitar professor at the Conservatory of Music, and whose guitar I have taken for myself.
He's not getting it back, is he?
No, he's not getting it back. I'm really grateful to have him as a teacher because even before going to the Conservatory of Music, he was my first official jazz guitar instructor, and he basically taught me everything I know: how to play, how to transcribe, just, you know, most of the musical stuff I actually use today. So I'm even using his guitar, so I really appreciate him a lot. You know, it's like another one of those really important music mentors you never forget.
Richard Pena is a young independent jazz guitarist, and he just released the album Synergy. It's getting a lot of buzz out there. It's a dense album. It has a lot of energy. It has a lot of thoughts and ideas on it. I definitely recommend everyone place him on your radar and check out this album. I thank you very much for talking to me today on Something Came from Baltimore.
Thank you, Tom. It's been a pleasure to be in here and share all this information with the audience. So I hope you guys really enjoy the album. Thanks, Tom. I really appreciate you taking the time for an interview. And let me tell you, it's been really good to talk to somebody after all these stuff that's been happening. You know, it's really fun. Talk about the music.
Hi, it's Tom Gauker, and I am the host of Something Came from Baltimore. Something Came from Baltimore is a words and music podcast, and it has famous and future famous artists like Sean Jones, Rupert Holmes, Auntie Hammy, Joey DeFrancesco, Go-Go Penguin, Joey Alexander, Bucanti, Gerald Albright, Paula Cole, and Kat Edmondson. It's music that matters. It's music for your ears. Listen and subscribe to Something Came from Baltimore and be a part of that Be More music scene. Something came from Baltimore. Something came from Baltimore. Something